The second pillar is about regular attendance. And if you remember, I spoke about the NAIDOC week, always was, always will be poster. In 2018, the slogan was, because of her, we can, the NAIDOC slogan. And what this school in Kununurra had done was to actually make a display of these inspirational women, because of her, we can, in the foyer. And the lady in the top left there is the lady on the right-hand side. And she's the AIEO who is responsible or involved in the regular attendance. So that's the second pillar. And I spent some time with her. I spent a day visiting the community because that's her role. She aims to do 18 visits a day in the community to children who aren't attending school. And that covers primary age range and secondary age range as well. And she didn't need a map. She knew where everybody lived. She knew all the families. Indeed, she said she is related to most of them. But she had increased that attendance from 54% to 82 and 88% in the primary school, and up to 78% in the secondary sector. So she'd made a huge difference. So because of her, many children can. So she was a lovely lady. I had a lovely time with her, sharing some anecdotes. And I just want to share one story, which was true, because I was out in the middle of the day with her, and we popped back to the school to pick up a teacher who was on her non-contact time. And she came into the car to visit a specific student, because this little boy in year 6, I believe, hadn't attended school for a couple of days, and the teacher sort of knew why. And she just wanted to touch base with the caregiver when they answered the door, because this little boy had been told off 2 days before, and he was shamed by that. He was embarrassed by that, and he'd been singled out, and he didn't want to go back to school. So the teacher took time out from her own preparation time to go out with his attendance officer, speak to the family to say, make sure he's at school tomorrow. It's all forgotten. It doesn't matter. Come in tomorrow. I need to see him tomorrow. So that deep commitment to pastoral care was evident throughout every member of staff. It's just so lovely to see, very inspirational. And the final pillar from the Kimberley Schools project was the targeted teaching. And that involved these 3 bullet points here, but I'm going to focus on explicit instruction because it is a different approach, a different pedagogical approach to the social constructivism, the Vygotsky approach, because this is very specific and explicit. There's a quote there from Professor Lorraine Hammond. So she says, if you're teaching children anything new, you have to do it step by step, very explicitly, with lots and lots of practice. Indeed, the research says whatever you teach, you have to have a minimum of 24 repetitions. Allard says that, to get into a child's long-term permanent memory. That information processing theory suggests that. So the whole class were involved in this approach. No, it wasn't differentiated at all. It was very fast-paced, lots of repetition. Children weren't bored. They were continually doing things all the time, particularly on their whiteboards, where after they'd written on the whiteboard, they use a term called chin it. So they'd chin the whiteboard to their chin so the teacher could see their responses, so she could give immediate feedback. So I saw this explicit instruction being used. I also saw direct instruction. Now, direct instructions are slightly different in terms that you'd need a script in direct instruction. So the words are actually spoken from an actual script. That's not what the Kimberley Schools project explicit instruction is delivering. Explicit instructions, the teachers has control of the script herself, but it's very structured. It's very data driven. Lots of trainers for educators. Professor Hammond is up and down to the Kimberley all the time, delivering and training all the time with the lessons and the lesson preparation. You have to be trained in it. I was not trained in it, so I can't give you any first-hand experience in it, but it's very predictable, lots of repetition and lots of chanting. Part of the advantage of it is if a child moves from one community to another within the group of schools, and they tended to be grouped together, then there was consistency of their approach if a child moved from one place to another for a period. So that was the third pillar in Kununurra.